What stuck out to you upon your rewatch?
Well, probably the biggest thing was how well we played, and then the critical mistakes we made that cost us an opportunity to win a football game. And that's the truth of the matter. We had some red zone opportunities that we missed chances to score touchdowns. We missed an opportunity on third down, an opportunity on fourth down to get off the field. And those critical mistakes are what beat you. That's the biggest thing more so than anything else. If you really go back and look at it, that's what the game came down to, and everybody says it. Winning football games comes down to 4, 5, 6 plays, and that's exactly what got us. I'm not going to sit here and try and make any other excuse other than the fact that those are things that we have to get corrected. We can't allow those critical mistakes as coaches. We can't have them as players, and maybe we need to look and rethink some of the things that we have them do. Maybe it's on us.
Dante has always been so durable in college. Did that factor into the decision of being thinner at corner? And can you kind of take us through the big picture of what personnel decisions led to kind of being where you guys were at without maybe an extra reserve corner besides Corn?
Well, that's what you go into the game. You have to go into the game with enough players at enough positions. You know, if you shortchange another position and you get somebody hurt, now you're in a critical situation. You know, I've been there where you go up with 7 offensive linemen and your 2 backups, the 2 guys get hurt, and before you know it, you're down to no backups. And so that's the thing we have to look at. We have to count and decide how many players we're going to have up. And so we had 4 corners active, 4 safeties active, and that's what gets you.
The Ross Cockrell injury, I imagine, in a game like this looms.
Oh, very much so. Guys like that you wish you had available, but unfortunately not. But again, at the same time, you know, when you're at certain numbers at certain positions, you go with what you have, and that's what we did. We went with a couple of guys that we felt pretty good about, and quite honestly, if Corn turns into the man, he may have a chance to make the play. He's there with him. Just again, it's a feel thing. I mean, remember he's a second-year player that spent last year on injured reserve. So he had, you know, he's got very little game experience. But, again, he has a good skill set. He showed it in the preseason. He shows us every time he practices that he competes. And, unfortunately, on this play, he got beat.
So you're comfortable with him, or do you anticipate making a move?
No, for the most part, we'll see. I like who he is. I like how hard he works, and I like how smart he is.
Ron, I think Seattle's coaches came out and said they taught their receivers to have late hands, to show late.
Yep.
From a defensive standpoint, how do you guard against that?
Well, the biggest thing is you just try to play the field now. Again, as guys like, you know, like Corn get an opportunity to understand this a little bit more, you know, you're running downfield. If you feel or sense that you're in the end zone, you got to have an anticipation the ball's coming down when you get to that. It's almost like a baseball player getting to the warning track. You know, that's kind of a thing that an experienced guy will develop and feel. You know, here's a young guy who hadn't had a lot of opportunities, as I said. I don't want to make excuses for Corn, but he competed and gave us his best shot on that play.
You mentioned the 5 or 6 plays, but I think it's human nature, at least what we do. We look at, like, some of the last plays of the game.
Yep.
Do you think the 2-minute warning took some momentum away? You're rolling pretty good until those 3 plays, and then any of those 3 plays after the 2-minute warning that you would have liked to have seen differently, or is that what you want?
You're talking about which 2-minute warning, the first half?
No, second half, sorry. Moving pretty good. I think you got to the 40.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, again, we had you know, we had the ball in the quarterback's hands, and he had a read, and he kept it, and you know, he only gained a couple of yards. I mean, things like that do happen. You know, again, there's 2 teams out there competing, but I don't think those necessarily the reason why. Would you have liked to have gained more on those plays? Absolutely, but we didn't, and we were still in position to, you know, to put points on the board, and we didn't.
On the second down play, where was the main option on that one? Cam didn't have time to go anywhere. But
as far as the pass was concerned, well, you know, again, going back and looking at it, you got to ask him what he was reading more so than anything else. I mean, you know, he's done a great job for us the whole time, and again, it was one of those things that you got to look at what the opponent did and ask the quarterback what he saw.
We've asked you before about main assistant personnel. I'm not sure we've asked you about position coaching, and I'm wondering if you're comfortable where that's at right now.
Well, I am. I mean, I think we got a group of young guys that we're coaching up at every position. And, they're going through a development right now. And I think that's the thing that we have to look at. I mean, if you want to go through every position, you look at the young guys that are playing, that have played a lot for us. As I said, it's about game experience, Great examples, look at the defensive line. We got 3 young guys that we're trying to roll through and give them opportunities to play. We had F.A. and now Brian Cox and now Marquise. I mean, we want to get young guys developed, and when you can put those guys on the field, that's the only way they're going to grow and become players.
You get a sense for Dante how long that might be?
I have no sense for anybody after the game until after I talk to RV, which will probably be in about 6-7 minutes when I'm done with you guys.
Julius was talking about the mix with the young guys and the veterans, and he said they're just not still playing together, and communication's not always there. What do you see?
Well, and he's absolutely right. There's a good feel where we have what we call a natural, and we go to run it, and the natural happens. Basically, it's a line stunt. And the one guy that should have worked outside was a young guy who didn't understand that. We had a good inside move from a veteran guy, but the young guy's got to understand, once he sees that flash, he's got to work himself back outside to contain. And because he didn't, the quarterback got outside to the edge, was able to complete the ball. And there is some of that that's happening right now. But still, again, when we have opportunities, we got to make the plays.
Ron, the lack of takeaways defensively, does that go hand in hand with an inconsistent pass rush?
No, I think it goes hand in hand with not getting the opportunities, whether it's with the pass rush, whether it was when we get a ball out on the field and unfortunately it bounces out of bounds. It's not just about interceptions, but it's about fumbles as well. We were fortunate; we put the ball on the ground 5 times, and we recovered all 5. They put one on the ground, and unfortunately it rolled out of bounds. So there's a lot of those things that happen, and sometimes they come in droves too.
I was speaking more about not the interceptions as much as like the strip fumble, the strip sacks.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something that happens as well. I mean, if you are getting pressure, we had 2 real good pressure plays on them early, and it turned into sacks. We had a couple of good pressure plays that forced the ball to be thrown out of bounds. This is a very headsy quarterback we played against, and you look at some of the things that he did in terms of just dumping the ball when he was under duress, and that's a helpful thing to keep bad things from happening.
Ron, what effect did
you guys have 5 losses on the season? 4 of those losses came on kind of like one possession games. How do you manage the frustrations in the locker room after so many close calls?
Well, the truth is right now is we still control our own destiny as far as if you go out and take it one game at a time, win one. We got to win one. It's 3 in a row right now, so we've got to go out and win, and that's just the bottom line. And the guys have got to believe that they have an opportunity, they have a chance to play well, they have a chance to win.
Ron, your quarterback Cam obviously didn't have an incompletion in the first half. When you went back and looked at just his game from start to finish, what did you think of just the way the passing?
Well, I love the consistency of the decisions he makes for the most part. He's made a lot of good decisions. Unfortunately, I know there's one I promise you he wishes he had back, but he sees certain things, he makes his reads, and he's been delivering the ball where it needs to be thrown. The nice thing is he's been putting the ball in playmakers' hands, and we've seen the result. Guys are making plays for him and making plays for us, I should say. And you see the development of these younger players, and that's probably the biggest key right now that is exciting to watch. But again, as I said, for all as well as we played, the critical errors are what got us at the end of the day.
When you went back and looked, kind of lost in the loss was Christian McCaffrey's effort. What did you see specifically about what he did yesterday to impress you, and how much is what he's doing to deal with the way Cam's playing right now, say the decision making you mentioned?
Well, I think again, if you want to talk about the play of Christian, you got to talk about the play of the offensive line up front. To rush for over 200 yards and as an offense, and to throw for over 200 yards as an offense, and to give up no sacks, there was a lot of good things that were being done by that unit for the most part. Then you turn around and look at the inverse, and you talk about being able to shut down the most prolific running team in the league right now. But unfortunately, you make 3 critical errors in the passing game on defense, and again, that's what I talk about. So it's not as if we're just giving them up. The unfortunate thing is we're making critical errors at the wrong time, and that's what's hurt us more so than anything else. And you could point to that, looking at the Detroit loss as well.
Well, how do you get you guys playing freely again, so they're not worried about making these critical mistakes? Because the confidence has got to be a little bit fragile with 3 straight losses?
Yeah, the confidence is, but the truth of the matter is you just got to build them back up. The guys just got to understand that, you know, they're capable, and you've got to make sure they learn from what happened, and that's what we'll try to do. We'll continue to coach them up. We'll try to put them in the best positions and give them that chance to go out and play. I mean, it's difficult, and unfortunately, this is the result of winning. I mean, if losing and winning. If you win, it's a whole different conversation I'm having right now, but that's just the way it is. So the conversation is what it is because of the fact that we had those critical mistakes at the wrong time.
Ron, you mentioned some of your opening comments that maybe you all as a staff need to make some changes.
No, I said we got to take a look at see what we're doing and see if we need to change some things up. And that's what we do. We go up, we look at what we did. If we think if it's working, we want to continue to improve on it. If it's not working, we'll get rid of it and find something else that does. I mean, that's really what happens. And you know, you can sit there and call what you want. Is there a better call? Maybe. Does it come down to execution? Sometimes. But just don't forget now, we're also playing against guys that are being paid, coaching against coaches that are getting paid. So it's a two-way street. The thing that we have to do is, again, make sure we're giving them every opportunity to succeed, and then we go out and we got to make sure we execute.
To finish my question, what is that troubleshooting process like, and how does that conversation happen among the staff?
Well, again, we watch the tape. We look at what happened, and then based off of that, we make decisions based on whether we had success or didn't have success. We've got to figure out why we had success, figure out why we didn't have success, and then what can we do to improve on that.
TV broadcast, Ron, they said some things about Elder, that he got benched during the game. Is that true? Or
No.
I didn't see that.
No, Corn didn't get benched.
On Captain's, the play at the end, did Captain have Lockett man-to-man?
What happened on that play was we were running a pressure, and he's what we typically call second man through. They took a guy, ran him across, Corn cut on him, carried him over, and then the guy the captain was on turned, and when he saw the quarterback scramble or work outside, he went vertical, and then now captain locks and owns that guy on the scramble. The biggest mistake he made was he took his eyes off the guy. Stay with the guy, read him, and then play on the ball. Unfortunately, he turned back, looked for where the ball was, and lost his man. Again, we just can't make critical mistakes.
Coach, on offense, your top 2 wide receivers from a snap perspective yesterday, Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore, both very young, exciting wide receivers. Was this kind of a look at what the future might hold, and what did you see from them when they were on the field together?
Well, again, I think both those young guys went out and produced and performed for us. They did a heck of a job. They're both still learning and growing within the system. That was one of the really key things, that you like what you saw. Is it a glimpse into the future? I believe it is. We believe both those young guys can be here for a long time and be a big part of what we're trying to do. You know, I like the things that we got from Jarius. I like the fact that Torrey came back and gave us, I think it was 15 really good snaps. So, you know, there's a lot of positives to take from what that group did for us.
Torrey said that he was not expecting to play, that he was an emergency situation guy. Was there some hope even at the last that Devin might be able to go, or how did that all play out?
Well, we tried to see how he was, and then, you know, once the realization that he wasn't going to be able to play, we went ahead and, you know, just talked to Torrey and let Torrey know that that would be the situation. We'd love to have him, if he's ready to roll, go out and play for us, and you know, but we will be smart with him and just not try to expose him into any situation he wasn't comfortable with. And because of the injury to Demir, we had to go ahead and get Torrey to play a little bit more, I think, than really was anticipated.
Anything else?
Joe brought up a good point yesterday that in November, and I think it was in 14, you had the slump, and then you snapped out of it in December, and Luke said, well, we're better positioned than in 14. What did you learn in 14 through that process that you can use now?
Well, that the focus has to be one at a time. That has to be the focus more than anything else. You got to focus in on what you want to accomplish, and that's to win. Then after that, how are we going to do that? Focus on doing what we need to do. And again, it goes back to all the things that I said earlier. It's about making sure we're designing the defenses, the offenses, the special teams, and then we're going out and executing. We just got to get better at certain things, and one of the things we're going to be better is not making critical mistakes at critical times.
Ron, that spark in 14 was created, in at least in some part, by going younger, faster in the secondary. Are there any personnel moves that you're kind of contemplating to kind of give your team a spark going down the stretch?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we have to contemplate is more so than anything else is just making sure we're in position. Okay, I mean, you go back and you look at it, we have guys that played very well, really well, and you could point to a critical mistake that those guys made, and that's probably the biggest thing. And that's the truth of the matter in this game. Everybody that played well, you could say there's 2 or 3 plays that they wish that they could have played better. I promise you that.
So staying the course with current personnel.
We'll continue to stay the course.
With a guy like Graham Gano, how do you measure the body of his career work that he's been, the kind of kicker that he's been here in Carolina for years versus the past couple of games where he's had a couple missteps?
Well, I mean, if you want to just look to last year, or you do only miss 1 kick, you know. Yeah, there's some things right now that may be playing, but you know, at the end of the day, he's our kicker, and so you know when you got to trot him out there, you got to trot him out there, and you know make sure that it's protected, make sure the operation is good, and then we'll see what happens.
We found out in 2016, though, after some, you know, uncharacteristic errors, misses, that he had a broken bone in his foot for most of the season and was playing on it. So I'm wondering if there's anything factoring in with him right now.
No, I couldn't tell you if he's got anything like that right now. You'd have to ask him.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.